I never thought there would be a third person in my marriage. Not physically, not in some creepy paranormal way. I mean the invisible third roommate, the influence, the voice in your spouse's ear, the human malware. In my case, her name was Ilara. My wife Maya adored her older sister in the same way people in bad cult documentaries adore the woman who eventually convinces them to sell all their furniture and embrace minimalism. Ilara was 5 years older, twice as loud, and so aggressively confident about everything that even her wrong opinions walked into a room like they paid rent. If Ilara said oat milk was a government experiment, Maya would nod and switch brands. If Ilara said men were only romantic when they feared losing you, Maya would repeat it 3 days later like she had personally discovered fire. I knew all this. I just did not realize, at the time, that my marriage was about to get mugged by a woman with expensive highlights and the moral backbone of a casino hostess. For context, I am not some clueless golden retriever husband who smiles through disrespect and then goes to the garage to process his feelings by organizing screwdrivers. I notice things. I just do not always react immediately, because reacting too early is how you warn snakes you have seen them. And I had seen Ilara. She had that very specific way of talking to me that technically stayed inside the boundaries of politeness while still feeling like she was trying to unzip my life with her eyes. "Caleb, you always smell amazing. How do you do that?" "Soap, Ilara. Some of us have a committed relationship with it." Or, "Maya is lucky. Men like you don't come around often." That one always came with a pause after lucky. A little pause. The kind of pause that should come with a siren and a small legal disclaimer. Maya never noticed it. Or maybe she did and filed it under, "That's just Ilara being Ilara." Still, life was stable. I had my business. My family had money long before I built anything myself, which meant people loved assuming I was just some rich son coasting downhill in a Mercedes fueled by inherited arrogance. I actually worked. A lot. Enough that our house, our vacations, and Maya's random seasonal hobbies were paid for by my stress, my meetings, and whatever part of my soul I had leased out to email. Maya worked too, though not in the same way. But I loved her. Or at least I loved the version of her that still existed before Ilara started trying to turn our marriage into an experiment with a stupid hypothesis. The first real crack came on a Thursday. I returned home earlier than expected because the client canceled the meeting. I pulled into the driveway, cut the engine, and noticed Ilara's white SUV parked in front of the house. Fantastic. Nothing good had ever entered my home from that vehicle. At best, it brought unsolicited advice. At worst, it brought candles that smelled like emotional instability and cost more than a decent steak. I walked in quietly through the side entrance because I planned to head upstairs, change, and emotionally prepare myself for 27 minutes of Ilara using words like intentional and feminine power, while eating food I had paid for. Instead, I heard voices from the kitchen. I stopped. Ilara was talking first. "You are too available." Maya sighed. "What does that even mean?" "It means he knows you're there. Men get lazy when they feel secure." I leaned one shoulder against the wall and closed my eyes. Ah, relationship advice from a woman who had gone through 2 divorces and 1 engagement that ended so explosively, even the venue requested therapy. Maya sounded uncertain. "Caleb isn't lazy." "No, he's comfortable," Ilara corrected, like the distinction mattered. "That's worse. Comfortable men stop chasing, stop proving themselves. They start assuming you'll just stay." I actually laughed under my breath at that, quietly. Maya lowered her voice, but I still heard her. "I don't know. Things have been a little predictable." Ilara's tone softened into that fake big sister warmth she used whenever she was planting dynamite. "That's my point. You need to shake him. Make him feel that he can lose you." "Oh my God," Maya said, half laughing, half nervous. "I'm not going to cheat on my husband." The room went quiet for a second. Then Ilara said, "I didn't say cheat." Maya gave a weak laugh. Then what are you saying? I'm saying men wake up when there's risk, when they realize they're not the only center of your world. You don't even have to do anything major. Just stop being so guaranteed. Maya went quiet again, and I knew that silence. It was the sound she made when someone she admired said something terrible, and her brain was desperately trying to dress it up in better words. Then Ilara delivered the line that made my jaw set. If he really loves you, he'll fight for you. Maya, God help me, asked the dumbest possible question. And if he doesn't? Ilara laughed softly. Then maybe you learned something useful. I should have walked in right then. I should have stepped into the kitchen, applauded politely, and offered Ilara a ride straight back to whatever cave she crawled out of with her TED Talk for idiots. Instead, I stayed quiet, because now I knew, not everything, but enough. Enough to know that some bad idea was being assembled in my kitchen like a bomb made of insecurity, ego, and sisterly sabotage. So I walked back out, closed the side door louder this time, then opened the front door and came in normally. A second later, Maya called, "Hey, babe!" The voices changed instantly. I stepped in and found them at the island. Maya gave me that smile women use when they are hiding either a surprise party or a felony. Ilara smiled too broadly. "Caleb, early." "Looks like it," I said, hanging my keys on the hook. "What are we discussing? Astrology? The downfall of Western civilization? Or just me?" Maya laughed too fast. Ilara did not. "Just girl talk," Maya said. "Dangerous phrase," I replied. "Usually means either someone's getting bangs or someone's ruining a perfectly good relationship." Ilara snorted. "You always think you're funny." "No," I said. "Sometimes I know." I kissed Maya on the cheek. Then I opened the fridge and took out a bottle of water. Ilara watched me like she was trying to solve a puzzle involving. "How was work?" Maya asked. "Productive. I got canceled on by a man who wears loafers without socks, so I assume karma still exists." Maya smiled. Ilara rolled her eyes, and that should have been the end of it for the night. But bad ideas don't stay in the kitchen. They migrate. Dinner was tense in that polished, upper-middle-class way where everyone is technically smiling, but the air feels like glass. Ilara stayed. Of course she stayed. Parasites rarely leave before dessert. She sat at our table, drank our wine, and talked about relationships with the confidence of a woman who had personally lost every relationship she had ever touched. "At some point," she said, slicing into salmon she did not buy, "all couples need to evolve. The old rules don't work forever." I looked up from my plate. "That depends. Some of us are still doing pretty well with basic concepts. Loyalty, respect, not acting like a lunatic in public." Maya shot me a warning look under her lashes. Ilara smiled like a cat, pretending not to notice the birdcage was open. "You'd be surprised how many people stay together just because they're scared of change," she said. "You'd be surprised how many people destroy decent lives because they confuse boredom with oppression," I answered. Ilara leaned back. "That sounded personal?" "That's because I said it personally." Maya let out a strained little laugh. "Can we not do this?" I turned to her. "Do what?" "Whatever this weird thing is." I almost said, "Ask your sister." She started the weird thing. Instead, I took a breath and went back to eating. No point showing my hand too early. After dinner, Ilara left with 2 air kisses, 1 too many compliments about the house. Maya cleaned the kitchen. I dried the dishes. We moved around each other in silence until she finally said, "You were kind of rude to her." I almost dropped the plate in my hand. "Was I?" I asked. "That's unfortunate. I was aiming for accurate." She sighed. "Caleb." "No, go ahead. Let me guess." I misunderstood her wisdom. Again. Maya turned toward me, dish towel in hand. "Why do you always assume the worst when it comes to Ilara? She says reckless things like they're gospel, and you treat them like they came down from a mountain carved in stone." Her expression changed in an instant. "You were listening?" "I was existing in my own house, Maya. She crossed her arms. You shouldn't have been standing there. I wasn't crouched in the vents with night vision goggles. I walked in and heard enough. She looked away first. You took it out of context. That phrase. The national anthem of people caught red-handed. Did I? I asked calmly. Because the context sounded pretty straightforward. Make him feel like he can lose you. If he loves you, he'll fight for you. That about right? Maya's lips parted, then pressed together. It was just a conversation. With your sister, those are usually more expensive than that. She glared. Why are you being like this? Because I don't enjoy hearing my marriage discussed like a lab experiment. She stared at me. She said quieter now. Maybe she has a point. A point about what? Maya looked nervous, but she pushed forward anyway, like somebody who had rehearsed this in the mirror and hated that the audience was no longer imaginary. About us needing something to change? I nodded slowly. Okay, then say what you actually mean. She inhaled. I think, she said, maybe we should consider opening the marriage. I looked at her for a full 3 seconds. Then I said, you mean divorce with a branding issue? Her eyes flashed. Why do you always have to make jokes when I'm being serious? I'm trying to talk to you. No, I said. You're trying to sell me a disease and calling it personal growth. Maya's jaw tightened. People do this. Yes, I said. Idiots, narcissists, people with podcasts. She stepped closer, angry now. It wouldn't be about replacing you. That's comforting, so I'd still technically be your husband while you sampled side quests? You're twisting this. No, I'm clarifying it. She looked furious, but beneath that fury I saw something even uglier. Conviction. Not her own. Borrowed conviction. The kind people wear when somebody else has talked them into feeling brave. It could make us stronger, she said. I laughed so hard I had to put a hand on the counter. Oh, that is absolutely Alara's wording. I can hear the champagne and bad decisions in every syllable. Stop blaming her for everything. I blame her for the things she does. This is one of them. Maya shook her head. You're impossible. And you're out of your mind if you think I'm agreeing to that. I'm not asking for permission. The room went very still. I looked at her. You should hear how crazy that sounded out loud, I said. She swallowed but kept going. Maybe the fact that you're reacting like this proves why we need something different. No, I said softly. What it proves is that your sister found a weak spot in your ego and convinced you rebellion is the same thing as depth. Maya stared at me like I had slapped her. I picked up my glass, took a sip of water, and set it down. Let me save us both some time, I said. You want to talk about what's missing in this marriage? Fine, we can do that. We can go to counseling. We can have ugly, honest conversations. But if your grand solution is to sleep your way toward clarity, you can do it as a single woman. Her eyes widened. So that's it? You'd throw us away over this? No, I said. You're the one taking a sledgehammer to the foundation. I'm just refusing to hold the handle for you. She opened her mouth again, but I was done. I took my phone from the counter and walked past her. Where are you going? She snapped. To my office, I said. Because I'd rather answer emails from men I despise than continue this episode. Caleb! I turned back once. If Ilara wants to date a married man so badly, I said, tell her to find one with less self-respect. Then I left her standing there in the kitchen, silent and furious, while something cold and sharp settled neatly into place inside me. Because now, it had started. And I already knew 2 things. First, this was not Maya's idea. Second, if she kept following her sister's advice, I was going to let the truth hit both of them where it hurt most. I slept in my office that night. Not because I was heartbroken and needed to face the darkness like a tragic man. Mostly because if I stayed in our bedroom, one of us was going to say something unforgivable, and I prefer my best insults delivered with sleep. Around 2 a.m, Maya opened the office door and stepped inside wearing one of my old t-shirts and a look that said she wanted peace, sympathy, and the last word. Are you seriously sleeping in here? She asked. I looked up from my laptop. No, I just enjoy lying on this couch in dress pants for the atmosphere. She crossed her arms. You're overreacting. That almost made me laugh. Right, I said. You ask for an open marriage and I'm the unstable one. I didn't ask to betray you. Maya, if the sentence begins with, I want other men but still want my husband at home, it's not suddenly noble because you used a calm voice. I'm trying to fix this. You should have started before turning our marriage into a group project with your sister. Her face tightened. Can you stop blaming Alara for everything? No, because I can hear where this came from. None of this sounds like you. It sounds like Alara wearing your face. That hit her. She sat down across from me. I feel like you haven't really seen me lately. You could have said that, I replied. I'm saying it now. After asking for an open marriage, that's like setting the house on fire and then offering to open a window. She glared at me. Normal conversations don't change anything. Then maybe try having one before suggesting a disaster. I stood up. Listen carefully, I said. If you felt lonely, disconnected, ignored, fine. We could have talked. We could have fought honestly. But don't stand there and tell me that bringing strangers into this is somehow supposed to help us. Her jaw set. Maybe Alara was right. I gave her a slow smile. That might be the saddest sentence you've ever said in this house. She snapped back. She said you'd make this all about control. No, I said. I'm making it about dignity. Mine. She went quiet. Then I finished it for the night. I'm not agreeing, I'm not negotiating, and I'm not going to compete for my own wife like this is a game show. If you want out, say you want out, but don't dress it up as growth. I pointed at the door. Go to bed, Maya, and maybe tomorrow your sister can explain how self-destruction became empowerment. She slammed the door on the way out. The next morning felt quiet in a way that had nothing to do with peace. Maya was in the kitchen, dressed, stiff, holding coffee like it was moral support. Morning, she said. Technically, I answered. I poured myself coffee. She watched me like she was waiting for me to become softer overnight. Didn't happen. I don't want us to keep doing this, she said. Then stop doing this. Her face hardened. I haven't done anything. Yet. She opened her mouth to argue, but then her phone lit up on the counter. One glance at the screen, and her whole expression changed. She picked it up fast. Hey, she said quietly, turning away. Pause. No, he's here. Another pause. I know. Then she hung up. I took a sip of coffee. Let me guess. Alara calling to check whether the patient survived her treatment? Maya gave me a tired look. She was asking how I was. Of course. Arsonists do love post-fire updates. She grabbed her bag. I'm going out later. I nodded. How progressive. I'm meeting friends. She left. I stood in the kitchen for a few seconds, then called Owen. He answered immediately. Why do you sound like you're about to bury someone? He asked. Maya asked for an open marriage. Then, I'm sorry, what? You heard me. He exhaled hard. And you said no? I said absolutely not. Good. For a second I thought you'd hit your head and started reading relationship books written by women who own too many candles. I leaned back on the stool. It's Alara. I heard them talking yesterday. She's been feeding Maya this nonsense about making me jealous, so I'll fight for her. Owen groaned. That woman is poison in a nice blazer. She wants chaos, I said. Maya wants a reaction. And neither of them seems to understand I'm not auditioning for the role of desperate husband. So what now? Now I watch. I listen. And if Alara pushes this any further, I end it properly. Owen was quiet for a second, then said, Do you think Alara wants to be with you? I laughed once. Owen, she wanted to be with me years earlier. She just finally found a way to get closer without looking obvious. That bad? She compliments me too carefully, watches me too directly, defends me to Maya when it makes her look insightful, and now suddenly she's coaching my wife into detonating our marriage? Please. So Maya's being played. Yes, I said. But she's still choosing to be stupid. I'm not letting her hide behind influence forever. He sighed. You want my advice? I assume I'm about to get it whether I want it or not? Don't explode too early. Let them show their hands. I smiled. That was already the plan. After I hung up, I sat there in the kitchen, coffee in hand, thinking about the look on Maya's face when she quoted her sister in the middle of our fight. That was the part that stayed with me. Not the request, the certainty. Borrowed certainty. The kind a person has when someone smarter, meaner, and more selfish has convinced them they're finally being brave. And that was when I realized this wasn't going to be one ugly conversation and then some tearful apology by the weekend. No, this was going to keep moving, because Maya still thought she was proving something, and Alara still thought she was in control. They were both wrong. Maya stayed out for most of the afternoon. By 3, I had answered emails, reviewed 2 contracts, and developed a new appreciation for silence. By 4, that ended. My phone buzzed. Alara. For one beautiful second, I considered throwing the phone into the pool and letting chlorine handle what good manners could not. Instead, I looked at the screen. Her message read, "Checking on you. Rough night?" I stared at it. There are messages that say too much by pretending to say very little. That was one of them. I typed back, "If this is concern, you should practice until it's less obvious. You're defensive." I smiled. "And you're in my marriage too often." A longer pause that time. Then, "Maya is emotional. I'm just trying to help." There it was. The liar's favorite costume, concern. I replied, "If this is what your help looks like, I'd hate to see your sabotage." Then, "You always were sharper than she knew what to do with." I looked at the message and actually laughed, subtle as a brick through a church window. I took a screenshot, locked my phone, and set it face down on the desk. An hour later, Maya came home. She set her bag down and took off the glasses. Her eyes were a little red. I leaned back in the chair and looked at her from the dining room. "Bad lunch?" I asked. She gave me a tired look. "Can we not do this right now?" "That depends. Are you here to apologize, explain, or continue auditioning for the worst idea of the year?" She closed her eyes for a second. I met Alara. I let out a soft breath through my nose. There's a sentence that has improved absolutely nothing in recorded history. She was just checking on me. Sure she was. Maya walked into the kitchen and poured herself water. "She thinks we both handled last night badly," Maya said. I laughed from the table. "That is generous. Starting a fire and then critiquing everyone's reaction to smoke is very on brand for her. She said you were trying to shame me instead of listening." "Maya," I said, "if your sister wants to keep participating in this marriage, I'm going to start charging her part of the utilities." "She thinks," Maya said slowly, "that you're only this upset because part of you knows she's right." I stared at her for 2 seconds. Then I smiled. "Of course she does." "What does that mean?" "It means narcissists always rewrite resistance as secret fear. It helps them sleep." Maya frowned. "Why do you hate her so much?" "I don't hate her. Hate is expensive. I just see her clearly." Maya set the glass down. "She's my sister. And I'm your husband." "I'm not asking you to hate her," I continued. "I'm asking you to notice what she's doing." "She's trying to protect me." "No," I said. "She's trying to influence you. There's a difference." Maya shook her head. "You don't know that." I reached into my pocket, took out my phone, unlocked it, and slid it across the counter. "Read that." Her eyes moved down to the screen, to Alara's messages. I watched Maya's face change in stages: confusion, recognition, denial. Then that very specific expression people get when a truth walks into the room and sits down whether they invited it or not. Maya stared at the phone. She pushed the phone back toward me and crossed her arms, but there was less confidence in it now. "She still thinks we need something to change." I laughed under my breath. Amazing. Even after flirting with her sister's husband, She still finds time to advise us. Maya's eyes flashed. She was not flirting. Then your standards for inappropriate behavior are somehow even worse than I thought. Why are you acting like I'm the enemy? She demanded. I lowered my voice. Maya, listen to me. I'm not saying this to win. Your sister is not helping you. She's feeding you a fantasy where chaos makes you more desirable, and disrespect makes me chase you harder. That fantasy only works on weak men and stupid ones. I'm neither. She looked down. Her voice, when it came, was quieter. So what now? Now that was the first smart question she'd asked in 2 days. Now, I said, you decide whether you want to be married to me or coached by your sister, because you do not get both. She was quiet. Then the doorbell rang. Maya frowned. Are you expecting someone? No. I walked to the door and opened it. Ilara stood there, smiling like nothing had happened. Hi, she said. I thought we should talk. I looked at her, then at the box in her hand. Did you bring dessert? I asked. Or just more bad ideas? Her smile tightened slightly. I'm here for Maya. Strange, I said. Your messages suggested otherwise. Maya stepped into the hallway. Ilara. Oh, please, Ilara said lightly, walking in without waiting. I'm trying to help. There's that word again, I muttered. Help. She ignored me and went straight to Maya. You don't need to feel guilty for wanting more, she said softly. I laughed. In my house? That's bold. Ilara turned to me. Not everything is an attack, Caleb. No, I said. Sometimes it's just a woman flirting with her sister's husband and calling it support. Maya snapped her head toward her. Ilara, what did you text him? I was making sure he didn't make things worse, she said calmly. I tilted my head. By complimenting me? That's not what You always were sharper than she knew what to do with, I quoted. Very normal. Very appropriate. Ilara turned back to Maya instantly. You see? She said gently. He wants a villain. Maya looked shaken. Ilara picked up her bag. I'll call you later, she told her, then glanced at me. After she left, the house went quiet. Maya stood there in the hallway, arms wrapped around herself. I could practically hear the gears grinding in her head. Then Maya exhaled slowly, like something inside her had just shifted, and she wasn't sure whether to fight it or pretend it didn't happen. That wasn't fair, she said. I leaned against the wall. Which part? The way you talked to her. I nodded. Right. Not the message. Not the timing. Not the fact that she's suddenly very comfortable texting her sister's husband. Just my tone. Maya rubbed her temple. You're making everything worse. No, I said calmly. I'm just not smoothing it over for you. She turned to me. She's my sister. And I'm your husband, I said. We've already established that part. It's just unclear which one currently has more influence. I didn't ask her to text you, Maya said. I know. That's what makes it interesting. Her eyes snapped back. What does that mean? It means she didn't need permission. Maya's posture changed slightly. Less defensive, more uncertain. She was just trying to help, she repeated, but it sounded weaker this time. Then she has a strange definition of help, I said. Because from where I'm standing, she's not fixing anything. She's escalating. Maya crossed her arms again, but it wasn't as solid as before. She's been through more than me, she said. She understands things I don't. I almost smiled. Exactly, I said. She's been through 2 failed marriages. Of course she has advice. That doesn't make it good. That's low. No, I replied. That's factual. Maya's lips pressed together. I looked at her for a second. You really don't see it yet? Her expression tightened. See what? That this entire thing benefits her more than it benefits you. Maya blinked. That doesn't even make sense. It does, I said. You destabilize your marriage. You question everything. You start acting differently. And who's right there the whole time? She's my sister. Who shows up more, talks more, influences more, I cut in. And now apparently feels comfortable texting me directly. Maya looked at me, searching for something. Maybe reassurance, maybe a way to dismiss it. She wouldn't do that, she said. Maya, you don't have to jump to conclusions, but you do have to start paying attention. She sat down slowly at the kitchen island. For the first time since this started, she didn't argue immediately. She just wants me to be happy, she said. I nodded. So do I. She looked up at me. And yet somehow, I added, I'm the only one who didn't suggest blowing everything up to get there. Then Maya asked, almost reluctantly, so what? You think she planned all this? I think she nudged it, I said. Enough to see what happens. She held my gaze for a second longer than before, then looked away. That was progress. Uncomfortable progress, but still. Maya stood up slowly. I need some time, she said, and walked upstairs. I stayed in the kitchen staring at the empty hallway. Then my phone buzzed again. I didn't even need to check. Alara. Of course. I opened the message. Hope I didn't upset things more. That wasn't my intention. I smiled, typed back, then maybe stop trying. You're misunderstanding me. I leaned back against the counter. No, I'm not. Then, you deserve someone who actually appreciates you. There it was. Not subtle anymore. Not even trying. I stared at the message for a second, then locked the phone without answering. Because now it was obvious, not just to me. Soon, to Maya too. Maya stayed upstairs for a while. When she came back down, she looked different. Caleb, she said, standing in the doorway. I need you to be honest with me. Do you really think Alara is doing this on purpose? Yes. Maya hesitated. She said you'd turn me against her. I smiled slightly. I don't need to. Reality's doing a decent job. She looked down, thinking. Then my phone buzzed. I didn't react. Just picked it up, unlocked it, and held it out to her. Perfect timing, I said. Maya took it. Read. Her face changed almost instantly. The message was simple. You deserve someone who actually appreciates you. Maya went very still, then handed it back slowly. She wouldn't. Maya started, then stopped. She grabbed her phone. I'm calling her now. She stepped into the living room, hit call, and put it on speaker without asking me. Alara picked up almost immediately. Maya? Why did you text Caleb that? Maya asked directly. No warm-up, no soft tone. Then Alara, calm as ever. I told you. I didn't want him making things worse. That's not what you said, Maya replied. You said he deserves someone who appreciates him. You're overthinking it. Maya didn't back off. Am I? She asked. Because it doesn't sound like something you'd send to someone else's husband. Are we really doing this? Yes, Maya said. Alara sighed. Maya, he's manipulating this. He didn't write the message. No, Alara replied smoothly. But he knows how to twist things. He always has. Maya's voice dropped a little. Did you mean it? I think, Alara said carefully, you're focusing on the wrong problem. Maya shook her head slowly. No, she said. I think I'm finally looking at the right one. Maya hung up without saying goodbye. I think, Maya said, I think she wanted this to happen. She wanted us to break, Maya finished. Now I nodded. Yes. Silence. Then Maya asked, why? I met her eyes. Because once you step out of position, I said, someone else gets to step in. That landed immediately, the full picture finally forming. Maya leaned back in the chair. That's messed up. Yeah, I said. It is. She looked at me again. And I almost let it happen. What do we do now? I picked up my phone. We don't argue with her, I said. We don't explain. We don't give her another chance to spin this. Maya frowned. Then what? I gave a small smile. I have a plan to put her in her place. By the time evening came, Maya and I weren't arguing anymore. We weren't exactly okay either, but we were aligned. For the first time since all this started, we were on the same side of the problem. I didn't spend the next few hours arguing. I spent them preparing. I pulled out every message, every line that mattered, cleaned it up, and made sure there was no room for interpretation. No emotion, no guesswork, just her words, exactly as she sent them. Then I sent myself copies, backed them up, and kept my phone charged. If Ilara wanted to play this in front of family, I was going to make sure she couldn't rewrite a single second of it. We decided to plan everything for Friday evening. Family dinner, perfect place. Her parents' house was already full when we arrived. Warm lights, familiar voices, the usual illusion that everything was fine as long as nobody said anything real. Ilara was there. When she saw us, she smiled. "Maya," she said, standing up to hug her. The hug was quick this time, measured. Then she looked at me. "Caleb." "Still here," I said. Her smile didn't move, but something behind it shifted. We sat down. Small talk, plates, glasses, all the usual noise people use to avoid the truth. Ilara didn't wait long. "You know," she said casually, "relationships are changing a lot these days. People are finally being honest about what they need." I didn't react. Maya didn't either. So Ilara kept going. "I think it's actually healthier when couples stop pretending one person can meet every need." Their mother frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" Ilara smiled, confident. "I just mean, sometimes boundaries need to evolve." I leaned back in my chair. "And by evolve, you mean bringing other people into it?" I said. The table went quiet. Ilara looked at me, still composed. "You're oversimplifying." "I'm clarifying," I replied. Maya spoke next, calm and steady. "You told me that," she said, "that it would help." Now the room shifted. Their father set his fork down. "Help with what?" Maya didn't hesitate. "She told me to make him feel like he could lose me," she said. "To push him." Ilara exhaled, still trying to keep control. "Maya, that's not how I meant." "That's exactly how you said it," Maya cut in. I just reached into my pocket, took out my phone, and placed it on the table. Screen lit up. 2 messages. Clear. "You always were sharper than she knew what to do with. You deserve someone who actually appreciates you." Their mother leaned forward slightly. "Ilara." "What is that?" Their father's voice was lower now. "Ilara?" She straightened slightly. "I was trying to help Maya," she said. "She's been unhappy." "That's not what this says," her mother replied. Maya spoke again, quieter but sharper. "She didn't deny it earlier," she said, "when I asked her." Ilara's tone hardened. "You're both overreacting," she said. "I was trying to get you to stop settling." "By pushing me to risk my marriage?" Maya asked. Ilara didn't answer that directly. Instead, she looked at Maya and said, "You deserve better." Their father looked. "Better than what?" Maya didn't take her eyes off her. "No," she said slowly. "You weren't trying to help me. You wanted us to fall apart." Silence. "You didn't try to fix anything," I added. "You just waited for your turn." I stood up and reached for Maya's hand. She looked at me for a second, then stood up without resistance. That was all the answer I needed. I picked up my keys, then finally looked at Ilara, directly. "This ends here," I said. "You don't get to insert yourself into my marriage again." She opened her mouth, but I didn't give her the chance. "And just to make it clear," I continued, "you're not welcome in our home anymore." Ilara's expression tightened, but for once she didn't have a response ready. I turned toward the door, and Maya followed me without hesitation. Behind us, the room stayed silent. No drama, no shouting, just a family that had just seen exactly who had been pulling strings and how it ended. If you felt this story hit hard, drop a like, subscribe for more, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps Steelheart beating.